Let's do that. Okay. All right. So now we're recording. Yeah. Yes, we're recording. All right. So we're going to start with that simply. And here's all you're going to need and use. This is everything that's inside that lower third that we're going to be using today, right? We have a logo, insignia design. We have a text box. We have a over shape overlay, another text box, and then two more shape overlays. I will show you exactly which each one of those looks like. So when we bring it on, each one of those is this here that we're seeing. Okay. So all of the stuff you saw there is in that little section down there that says Candy Williams content influencer. Okay. And we're going to break down exactly how to be able to put that on there. Another great powerful thing about this is if you're using a lower third like this, right, you can take away that little Zoom name that they have at the bottom when you come into Zoom, where everyone sees that. And now you can be branded more to your specificity for your company, for your church, for whatever you do. Maybe there is someone who is giving a presentation and you make this for them. Right now you can put the pastor's name, now you can put your podcast guest name in there simply like that. And it's only with these, what's that, one, two, three, four, five, six items. Yeah. All right. Perfect. So let me check in with you really quick. Any questions so far before we get started into making this? So you all, if you're on Ecamm right now, you will be able to do this and be able to make it as we're in the meeting today. But any questions, anything so far? No? All right. Let me double check. Okay, perfect. Let me get back to the chat. How do I do that here? All right. Okay. Let me pull up the Chizzy chat over here. All right. Yes, Wayne, I see it. All right. Yes, Shane, I am using a green screen. I love green screens and I teach on that as well. I will show you what that looks like without the background. You're going to be like, there's no way, right? So I'll show you that towards the end. Just remind me, please, and I will show you what that looks like. All right. So let's get started in this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take away each one of these items, work backwards to show you what they look like. So I'm gonna get rid of the Instagram thing. Each one of these are an individual item, but what I do is I place them inside a folder so that they act together, right? So that they all come in on the screen at one time, even though they're individual, right? So the first thing I did is I left this one here on the bottom. It is, you can see a border with that. And the reason why I did that is because I want to show you this is almost like my placeholder, right? I use this to kind of guide me. And I also want to give a big shout out to Paul in the community because he inspired me to kind of go into this space here when it was showing this. So let's start with this here. So this is what it's going to look like. You're going to need to go to your shape overlays. Most people here know what the shape overlay section in your overlay panel is. If you don't, just let me know. I will go and show you where that is. But it's right next to your 3, 2, 1. It's right next to the timer section if you don't know where that's at right now. When you go into it, you're going to make it a rectangle and you're going to do the fill as blur. That's why you're still able to see. Let me move this over. So if you look at this, you're able to still see the outline on the screen here. I will make the color so you can see this. So let me just put the color there. Right. So now you see that little black. Well, let me make it a bright color so you can see it. Right. So you see that yellow there. So that's what that is, except we just had that as a blur. Okay. So there's a color there. It's just blur so you can still see through it. Now, what we're going to do next, and if I go a little fast, please slow me down. I just wanted to make sure everyone gets through this and that. So now what we're going to do next is we are now going to, let's get rid of that one. And next we're going to bring up another shape overlay and we're going to make that color black and keep the border as white. That's going to look like this here. So let's move this over. right? So now we have that small black, let's do this. There we go. We have that small black um, shape overlay at the bottom there. Okay. And if I need to go into live demo mode to show the back end of that, I'll do that maybe at the end. But I think most people are kind of fairly sticking with this. So now with this, we're going to put the text inside of there. That's where you saw the content influencer. Okay. That can be any name you want for your company, your stream, whatever it is, right? And it's simple because you're using everything right in Ecamm. You're using the text shape box, you're using the overlays, shape overlays, and you're just changing the colors of them, right? This little small one that has content influencer is the same one that's above it that has the fill of blur, except now I filled it with black, right? So I can put the white writing in there, whatever color you want it to be. You can have a gradient, you can have the motion, you can jazz it up if you want, right? So next we're going to bring in another rectangle, which is the black rectangle there that we see. So let's get rid of this one for a second and then we bring that down. So then now this is our third shape overlay and this one is black, right? We have that one inside of the first shape overlay that has the fill. Again, the fill is simply just to give a placeholder so I can see and make sure everything fits into where I want it to be, right? And it keeps everything together. Um, and then the next thing we do is we bring on the text, which is the person's name, right? And then the last thing we do is the logo, and it's right there. Now you can kind of see, for an example, why I have that bottom one as a placeholder because when I remove that Instagram icon, for an example, if you look here, matter of fact, I'll show you the back end of this really quick. If you look, let me get my Pro Mouse on. So right in this section here, there's that empty space, right? That is what I reference when I say the placeholder, because now that tells me how far I can put my logo in here without it overlapping the name. I can always make adjustments, but it's just easier and faster for me to be able to do it that way so I don't have to keep going back and so forth. Okay. Let's see, were we supposed to create the folder first? You don't have to. You can create the folder at any time. I like creating the folder first, yes, because then I can make sure everything is inside there. And now I don't have to go back and remember to put things in there. But either way, it will work the same way, right? Because then you can just drag everything into the folder, right? But I create the folder first because sometimes you mistakenly drag an overlay that you have in your panel inside there. But yes, you can create it first, and that would just make it easier. Okay. So now everything is created. And so now, kind of like what Jennifer was just saying, is now I can put everything inside of the folder, right? And then the folder, one second, let me hide this for one second, and then I'll show you again what that looked like. So this is everything inside the folder, and I labeled it lower third, right? So now I know what that's supposed to be. It's the lower third. Also, another great little tip I tell you that most people don't know about is if you see that yellow dot right there, that yellow dot gives me um, really quick access to find it, right? I color code a lot of my trainings and my folders so that I know yellow is for this type of training. I know green is more for the financial training, money stuff, right? I color code those, and I also do it for my scenes so I can find things a little bit easier. To do that, just a little quick tip is, let me just remember, I have to uh, Control Shift Command. Let me see, Control Shift Command, I think it is. Let me just double check here really quick. Control Shift Command. Yes, Control Shift Command will bring that up. And let me show you what that looks like on the back end here, just really quick in case anyone wants to do that. Live demo mode, activate. All right, Control Shift Command brings up these icons and so forth here. And I just have red dot and I have a check, a fire emoji, thumb, whatever you want, you can put an emoji there to help make me maybe make it a little easier, right? If you have something with finance, put a dollar sign, okay? Control Shift Command. All right, out of live demo mode. All right, so but yes, now everything is inside of the folder. If you are just getting used to having folders, you know how when you drag something into your overlay panel, you get the blue line that tells you now it's okay to drop it. Just make sure you still see that blue line when you put it into the folder. Because sometimes someone new may try to put it in, but they drop it and they're like, it's not going into the folder. Just make sure you see that little blue line that when you're dragging it into the folder, you see it. Okay. All right. So any other questions? Is anyone doing that so far? If they like to show it, if they want any other questions that I go through something a little too fast, or maybe just need to see it again, slower or more specific into that, you can come off. Go ahead, Chris. You can come off mute and do that, or just put it in the chat, whichever one.
Yeah, so now when you're doing that with those six that you have in the folder, before you put it in the folder, like the Candy Williams at the top and the content influence, I know you're going to the shape overlay. So are you going to the shape overlay each time you're doing the, because you know the square or the rectangle is bigger up for Candy Williams, then it's smaller. So just
Yes.
click on the shape overlay every time for each one of those boxes, and then
Yes,
put them in the,
absolutely.
okay, then put them in the folder.
Correct. And I'll even show you
Okay.
a little quicker way to do that as well. Here is something that you're able to do. If you just highlight any overlay, all right, inside there, and you hold down Option, you will see a plus sign and you're able to drag it and you can duplicate it, right? So if you have your shape overlay, you can just hold down Option instead of going to the overlay panel, or just go to the overlay panel and click another shape overlay. So yes, I make each one of them separate and then I just resize it, right? So that the
Mhm.
content influencer shape overlay is smaller and more proportionate and so forth like that. But the answer to that is yes, each one is different. The logo I simply got off of Google, right? I just went to Google, Instagram logo, download, you know, crop it sort of transparent, make it transparent, and then just
Yeah.
drag it in. But short answer
Okay.
is yes, each one is different. Also, one quick note on this as well. So you notice how everything is moving together. Okay.
Yeah.
When you get into your folder, I will show you what this looks like on the back end here and show you what you need to do. So, for an example, in your overlay panel, once you're at your folder right here, right? There is, if you hover next to the eye, there is a little chain that's a link. It says link overlay group or unlink overlay group when like right now. So if I unlink this, now I can go and move something individually. Okay. And then if I link it back together,
Okay. Then they all move.
yes, so then they all move at the same time. Okay. So if you're ever wondering why isn't this moving or something like that,
Hmm.
just make sure it's linked. Or
Okay.
if you're ever wondering why isn't something not adjusting, always check to make sure you haven't locked the overlay or locked the scene. Okay.
Yep.
So for an example, that is the same thing as, let me move that for 1 second. Let's just hide that for a second. All right. That's the same thing as when you saw this a second ago when I did the register for an item. Oops. So when I did this one here, right? These are individual items, but they're in a folder. And I just linked them together so that they operate together, right? They come on the screen, they leave the screen together, all of those things like that. Okay. Let's
What about
see.
the what about the arrow?
The arrow, um, in reference to what?
Like it's is that a movie motion?
Oh, okay. So yes, it is a movie a gift, not a gift, but a movie. And I just simply brought it in, and I'll even give you. I'll put in the chat where I get some of these from. There's a free site where you can get a lot of these items from. The register now. Matter of fact, I'll show you this little tip here as well, just in case, because we got a little extra time. I'll show you guys this tip here. So let me pause it. Well, let me show you the back end so you can see what I'm referencing. So right here, you can tell it's a movie, and I simply have this on loop,
Hmm.
so I can pause it at any point, and it will pause. Okay. So this is the folder where I have reg and just register, and I just have a bouncing arrow, and then I have the sign here. That's it. Okay. So I'll unlink this for a second just so I can show you. So this here is I have the shadow behind it. So this is just a transparent image that I got off of Google. I was just thinking out of the box, right? I was like, what I want a register sign that someone could, something to make someone see register. Went to Google, downloaded this. I brought it in as transparent, but as you can see now, it's not as visible, right? Because people can look through it in essence. So if you ever want to kind of darken an overlay or make adjustments to it, come to the shadow box in the bottom. And if you click that, you can adjust the color, right? You can also like you just go right to the color. You can adjust the blur, the distance, and that just means how much people can see in it. So for an example, if I move this angle here from the right to the left, the black box will start to move. So, right. So I'm just choosing how far I want it to go over and etc. Right. So I that wasn't part of the training, but I just thought I'd throw that in just in case you run into that and you're like, no one can see through it or anything like that. Okay.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions or anything? Let's see. Shane says, how do we lock it all together? I use OBS sometimes too. Thanks. You're welcome, Shane. Shane, to lock it all together is that link button that you saw there. That's how you lock it all together. Um, there are some other ways, but you don't. I'm gonna keep it simple. Just use the link chain button inside there next to the I. You'll see it there. Okay. Let's see. Now I got to go back and lock all these again because if I don't, when my next trainer comes, I'll be like, oops, I forgot. So let's get these back the way they were. Move that back down. Lock it. And if you lock it like this, you can adjust the size of it still in all together, right? So you see how I can adjust the size altogether. So that's another great thing of having it locked, if you will, right? All right, that's back to regular. Now let me test it though, make sure. Oh, see, this is why we do those tests, right? So now what I will do is I will unlock it. Now it gives me the ability to move the arrow individually so I can see where I want the arrow to be bouncing. So I'll move the arrow up. All right. So you can see how this just works if you, boom, that's perfect. I'm good with that. All right. There we go. All right. So we are coming closer towards the end. Any other questions? Anything else that I could maybe go over in the overlay section that I didn't cover for the other two things? Um, I know I was speaking primarily just for the overlay, but if you want me to show you how to do something else shortly, I am more than happy to do that as well. Yeah, in the chat or come off the mic, whatever works for you. Let's
I have
go
a
back
question. Are there
here.
any shortcuts
Sure.
we can
Okay,
use
someone.
to for the overlays?
Oh, I see Jennifer J got hers. Say that again. Whoever said that.
That was me. Are there any
Okay.
shortcuts we can use to bring the overlays in as opposed to working the overlays panel?
Yes, absolutely. So you can do hotkeys. If you don't have a Stream Deck, I always suggest a Stream Deck. But if you do not have a Stream Deck, you can make that overlay a hotkey. And so, matter of fact, I will show you an example of what that looks like here. So let's say that yep, Pro Mouse is on. All right. Um let's say I go to, and always a good way to find your overlay if you can't find it really quick is what I just did. My overlay panel is all the way down here. If you click on the overlay, it will take you to that spot and then you see it will be highlighted with the yellow, oh excuse me, with the box around it. So now for an example, let me close that folder so you can see. So let's say you click on this little button right here and it says type hotkey. So let me get rid of that. Let's say I want to type this to be a I don't know. Let's go. I got so many hotkeys. I want to find one that's not that's not in use. But you could type. Let's just say I type Y. Okay. Now the letter Y is next to that folder. So I have Y as something else. So let me see if it does it. Okay. Yep. There it goes. So now let's go and back to regular mode. So now if I type the letter Y, that comes in quicker together, right? So you can assign that to be whatever you want it to be to make it perfect. I did it for the whole thing. Yeah, right. You can do that, and it will operate the entire everything inside of the folder, right? Or you can do a Stream Deck, but if you don't, hotkeys are just in essence the same thing as a Stream Deck, just on your keyboard. And you can do that. So that's an easier way to be able to bring it on. All right, let's see. I'm gonna highlight Jennifer because she has hers on there. So let's pin her. Let's spotlight her for a second. So now we can see. All right. Boom. Yeah. And then she added the boxes around it. So the border are white. And now again, you can have those adjusted. You can make each box different color, right? You can um, add in whatever you want. You can add in your own logo instead of the Instagram one. You can add in a call to action or something like that. Okay. Uh, Go ahead with any other questions that we may have. I think I saw a hand. Was it? Oh no, you're doing your hair. Okay, Kathleen, I saw you. Oh, no, it was your cat. Oh, okay. Ed, hey Ed, you got your hand raised there?
And all right. Oh, oh.
Mm, we hear an echo, Ed.
Big echo.
Okay, how about now?
Yes, good to go.
Okay, sorry about that. Hey,
No worries.
a question. Putting the folder right in your overlays. There's a section at the bottom in all overlays, right? Because you want your bug to come across the screen in whatever you're happening to be working on, right? If
Hmm.
it's in this vein, right?
Yeah.
So there is a place. So this would go in your all overlays pretty much once you have your logo, unless you have multiple sort of things going on. So you'll yeah, you can adjust it for whatever it is, whether you have two or three businesses or something. Is that what you'd end up doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and what he's talking about, if anyone is not aware, is so you have show in current scene, and then you have show in all scenes, right?
Right.
So if you put this bug, if you put this lower third in show in current scene, it will only show in the scene that you are in. Okay. If you want this to show in any one of the scenes, then you place it in all scenes. So then if you change a scene, it will show there as well. One of the things I suggest when you do that is also just check the placement of it, right? Because maybe if you change scenes, you have something else on it, and now your name may come in and cover it up or something like that. So always run through those. But yes, great question, Ed, and great observation. Go ahead.
Just one more thing on that, because Ecamm now allows you to have landscape and
Portrait.
portrait,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I'm still trying to work that through, but obviously placement is going to be different, if you're running both,
Yes.
where placement comes is going to be different. It's not automatic, is what I'm saying, right?
Right. And you're right. And so let's see, let me see if I can do this here for you all. Just to show you something. So I'm gonna go into dual and horizontal for a second to show you something. Don't freak out if you've never seen this, people. All right, so now let me make sure I'm spotlighted so this comes up. Spotlight for everyone. Oh, I gotta show you the back end of it then. Okay, no worries. So now, the tunnel, is that too bad for you guys to see? Yeah,
I can
wait,
do
hold
it.
on. Okay, so, yes. Also, what's good about this is the folder. works in both of these. So right now, for example, I have this coming up. So then now it's going to go onto both of the sides, right? So that's another great thing about that is if you have a folder, you can have, so you see how they are duplicated on both sides. So if you do
Yeah.
vertical and horizontal, it will show up on your horizontal and your vertical. So that's another great thing of putting it in the folder. And so you just trigger the folder. And then once you do that, it will go see how now, boom, it's happening on both sides. Yeah. So that's another great thing, an observation area. So yeah, you want to make sure you also adjust your settings if you do this on your vertical as well, so that it will come on either side at the same time. Good point. All right. So now let
Thank
me
you,
get
Kenny.
out of this loop. You're welcome. So let me get out of this loop here and go back to my wide. All right. Great. So we got a few more moments. Any other thoughts, questions, anything else that I can share with you to show you how, and again, customize this, make this yours, change the color, add motion, but this is a great way to start adding your name. Ooh, and another little quick tip, if you use this in Zoom and you do not want your name to be there, use it sparingly, but go to rename and then just put a either period or an underscore. So I'll show you for an example. So you see how right now my name is at the bottom. It says Lion Flood. Okay. What you can do is let me find my name or how to do that. There. So where's my hover button? Hold on. Let me remove my spotlight for a second. There we go. So now I go to rename, and instead of saying lion flat, I'm just going to put a period because you don't want your name to be in there double, right? If you're using this in Zoom, right? You don't want your lower third and then the Zoom. So I just took and I just put a period there, or you could put an underscore. You have to have something. Zoom doesn't allow you to not have anything. Okay. So now your name will just be there. One caveat with this is if you're in an event and let's say the host is trying to find your name, they can't see your name because it will say period, right? Or it will say underscore if they're looking for it on their thing, but they will still be able to see your name on the screen, right? So just another little tip, use it, when you can, when you want, and so forth, like that. There. All right. Um, that is the end of this training. I appreciate you all for coming. I'm going to see if I can continue doing this, pushing forth because there are so many things that you could do with your overlays, like fun things. You have the call outs if you want to tell someone what blew your mind. I love using things like this right here, for example, to tell people it's lonely at the top, lonelier at the laptop. Don't do this by yourself, right? Um, get into a community. And speaking of communities, I have a school community. If anyone's interested in learning more about this one-on-one, we do. You can access all of the time. You can come if you like, check it out. Um, just wanted to mention that. Let's see. Kathleen says you were going to give us a link. Oh, yes, Kathleen. Thank you so much for that reminder. Let me get that for you right now. Let's see. Where is my that link? Yeah, I will get that. So there is. Oh, also, I'll give you this link here. So if anyone is ever looking for it, they have tons of free stuff. I'm always big on the if it works, simply do more of it, right? So I love the free things. You can get a lot of stuff here. That's what you saw me use earlier. I got that from this site here where you saw me use earlier with the lady. So these are all what's the word, copy things, so you don't have to worry about getting any dings on them or anything like that. But when you saw me use this, right, that video is where I got that from. So that's one resource. Pexels. I use that tons for a lot of my videos that I'm going to do trainings on and so forth like that. And then um, let me find the other one for some of the. But your overlays can be your best friend if you know how to use them strongly, right? You can always bring in um, items like that. Oh, I will make sure y'all get that. I can't find that one right now for whatever reason, but I will make sure I put that in the community so everyone can still find out where it's at. So I'll make sure you get that. Yeah, Pixel, yeah, it does that. And there's several other things that you can use from that resource as well. So let's see. Any last thing I can share with you really quick in overlays that can help? There's so many advanced stuff. Like for an example, this right here is an overlay. Now I'm using this from a third party. I made it in a third party, but I brought it into Ecamm and use it as an overlay. Right. So maybe if you're doing a training and you need to highlight something, you could tell people, hey, make sure you grab my free resources, instant access, sign up right now for a free trial, whatever, right? So you can use overlays powerful in these kind of ways. Why do I still have that name Candy still there? I don't know, right? Let's take it off. First, let me get rid of um, uh, the hotkey because I'm going to use that again. All right. So this is my regular hotkey for the letter Y. Go ahead, Chris. You had a question?
Yeah, speaking of the hotkey, I so if you're using, because I do use it, but I've used it in other scenes too. So do you have to make sure that you have it in show current